Good morning, good afternoon. This is Tim Harris with the Harris Real Estate University, and this is the opportunity for all Harris Real Estate University students and future students and everybody else in the real estate community to learn directly from the NAR executive who had his hand in on creating the HAFA guidelines, exactly what HAFA is, what it isn't, and what it means to your real estate business. Now, we are honored, and Jeff, and I mean that with all sincerity, for you to join us for today's teleconference. You and I have obviously talked quite a bit prior to the start of this teleconference, and we're going to do our best to cover as much ground as possible. For that reason, I'm starting the teleconference about 2 minutes early, so people are going to be logging on during this event, and I am watching the numbers pile in, and I'm nervously making sure there's no breakdowns in our technology, as I always do.
I'm monitoring admission control as well.
And it looks like this is going to be a record-breaking call for us. So again, Jeff, thank you for joining us for today's very important event.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Tim and Julie.
So, guys, in case you don't know who Jeff Lischer is, I'm going to just give you a little bit of brief background on who he is. But I think by just reading his titles at the National Association of Realtors, it kind of says it all. He's the Managing Director for Regulatory Policy, the Regulatory and Industry, and he's in charge of Regulatory and Industry relationships, and he's also in charge of government affairs. So, Jeff, do you have to put all that on one business card?
Well, I think it's a little exaggeration, so the business card isn't as hard as it sounds.
Very good. So, Jeff, since we started a little bit early here, it would be beneficial, I think, interesting probably, for a lot of folks to know really how HAFA got started. You told me about it yesterday on our pre-call about the meeting you were in, and if you don't mind sharing that story before we get to the particulars, I actually thought that was very interesting.
Well, I'd be happy to. Thanks very much. And thanks for the opportunity to help get the word out on HAFA. This is a program that means a lot to our members, and that's a lead-in to the history of the HAFA program. Back in 2007, we started hearing from our members that the short sale process was just broken. So the president of NAR at that point, Dick Gaylord, assigned a work group for short sales. And they met one time in February of 2008, and they had a lot of things to say, and what they had to say to me as NAR staff was simplify the program, get all the lenders to use uniform forms to follow a uniform process, and to have deadlines. And I actually tried that in 2008 and did not succeed. There's just too much diversity in the lender community. But every time I had an opportunity to repeat what I was hearing from our members about the broken short sales process, I did so. And in one meeting in early 2009, I was lucky that some people from Treasury and from the regulator of FHFA, the regulator of Fannie and Freddie were there. And they heard my story, and everyone was nodding and going around the table. But the next day they called and said, come in and tell us more. And so I went in and repeated what the members had been warning me about in terms of the short sale process not working out. And what really got their attention was the fact that there were many stories where banks refused the short sale. 6 months later, they listed it after having gone through foreclosure, and they lost an additional $50,000 to $100,000 more than was necessary. So that's what the genesis of HAFA is. I'm sure other people were putting input into Treasury and FHFA, but I can tell you that all the problems that we identified have been addressed at FHFA. So I feel that we really got listened to by the government, and it's taken all of 2009 to get here, and now the beginning of 2010 to have the deadline for implementation. But we are finally there, and that's.
And who says government moves slow?
Well, that's right. They moved faster than the private sector, I have to say that.
Well, that is absolutely true, isn't it? So in case no one's actually said it, Jeff, on behalf of the entire real estate community, all of us realtors out there in the on the war fronts, thank you sincerely for spearheading this and following through with it. It's we're quite confident here at Harris Real Estate University that short sales are ultimately the best solution to many of the housing problems that we have in the country right now. Especially allowing for a graceful exit for a lot of these homeowners that just frankly don't really have very many options left. So, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, but I work for you guys, so.
Very humble. I appreciate that. All right, so let's just jump right in. Now let's get to some of these specifics about HAFA, and then you and I can answer some of the questions. Guys, if you have any questions during the webinar, enter your questions into the box to the lower left section of the screen. There are probably about 100 questions that were entered prior to the start of this webinar teleconference, and I've gone through most of them already. And fortunately, most of the questions Jeff and I had already discussed prior, so we're going to be covering those. Any new questions, any thoughts that pop up during this event, enter them into the webinar. Julie is going through your questions. Again, this is a live event, so you're going to get all the qualities and nuances of a live event as we read some of your questions. But I think if you guys pay attention, stay focused, stay intensely focused, I should say, for the next 60 minutes, all of your HAFA-related questions are going to be answered. I'm going to say this, too. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there right now about short sales, about HAFA. Don't know and really, frankly, don't care where the misinformation is coming from. What we're going to focus on with you today is clearing the air so that you can, frankly, put yourself in a position to help people. We've been saying this now since 2007, and I don't mean to sound preachy, but there never has been, never will be, a time when caring, competent, and skilled realtors have been so needed. If there's a true hope for homeowners, it starts with you. The realtor that's listening right now, use this information to go out and help your community, help homeowners, make a difference, help turn this economy around. So just keep that in mind. It's a kind of a lofty goal I set for Harris Real Estate University, and it's a lofty goal that hopefully you set for yourself and take it very seriously. And obviously, guys, the more people you help at a higher level, the more success you're going to have, the more income you're going to have. So keep those things in mind, that we're going to get very specific and analytical on this call, but use this information to help people and use this information to help yourself. So without any further delay, what the heck does HAFA stand for?
The Home Affordable Foreclosure Alternatives Program.
Okay.
There are two alternatives. Short sales is one of them, and deed in lieu of foreclosure is another. Great.
So now, with regards to HAFA, this is a question I had in the webinar, Jeff, probably, 25 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to seem like I'm skipping around, but we're going to kind of get to the heart of it. Does
a
homeowner have to miss payments in order to qualify for HAFA?
Well, definitely not, but I think that the lenders are already a little confused, and I'm hearing stories that some of them are saying that they do have to. But they have to be delinquent now, or it has to be reasonably foreseeable that they're going to go into default. And the example I use is where they've strained and struggled to stay up to date, but now they're out of savings, and they've lost their job, and they just don't have enough to make the payments. They're heading for default in a month or two. That family should be processed as eligible family.
Okay. So, that's basically the way it works, guys. So please be clear about that. And a lot of you, and as Jeff just said, a lot of you are still experiencing lenders that maybe aren't familiar with the new HAFA guidelines, but let's just hope and pray that they do start following the guidelines to the T, and I suspect that they will. All right, so with regards to HAFA, the missing payments thing, that's a huge turning point with regards to short sales. Obviously, that's going to enable a lot of homeowners who are worried about the effects on their credit, because a lot of you guys have been doing short sales for a while. You know the short sale itself is certainly not a positive event for someone's credit, but the missing of the payments is really what damages the credit the most. And HAFA, again, getting back to the graceful exit aspect of all this, does allow someone to gracefully exit their home without missing payments, thus harming their credit. That is an important thing for you to understand when explaining it to sellers. Now, there's a lot of incentives for everyone involved with HAFA when utilizing the guidelines. Further evidence that the government, the banks, National Association of Realtors, obviously, and everyone is reinforcing agents doing short sales. So can you please tell us what those incentives are for sellers, for the servicers and such?
Sure. Well, there are three categories of incentives. And by the way, this money comes from the federal government. Some people have been confused about that. It's not coming out of the hide of the first lien holder. So first, there's a $3,000 incentive for sellers to help them move. They get a check for $3,000 at a HAFA closing. This is not for any short sale. This is only HAFA. Keep that in mind. These incentives have to be under HAFA. Then there's also a $1,500 check or credit that goes to the servicer to help them deal with the red tape of any federal program. And third, there's a complex matching credit that is designed to give an incentive to junior lien holders. There's a cap of $6,000 for all junior lien holders, and there's a 6% cap per lien. And if the first lien holder allows $6,000 from the proceeds to go to the junior lien holders to encourage them to release the lien and the family from any deficiency, by the way, then the federal government will help pay for that on a 1 to 3 basis, $2,000 in the full $6,000 example.
So just so that everyone's clear, junior lien holder, what he's referring to, in case you don't know, is second mortgages.